So this is the Recreation and Park Cultural Affairs public hearing. So roll call, it's just myself. I see here. Do we have anyone here for public participation? Well, let me start. Mr. Showers, can you give an introduction of the fee structure we're proposing?
Yes, during budget time, we are obligated, if we're going to raise fees, to have a public hearing. And before you, upon the slide, we see the 20 fees is recommending. And those fees were increased, haven't been increased for the last 3 or 4 years. So we increased them just an inflationary amount to try and keep up with inflation. But as you can see, most of them are just a few dollars. So anyway, it's a public hearing for people to come forth and voice their concerns or likes.
Just for the record, Madam Chair, the public hearing was posted in the hour as required, as well as a list of the proposed fees also.
Okay, and I see Diane Lorcella is here and she'd like to speak. So I guess we can open it up to public participation. Ms. Lorcella, how are you?
Good evening, Chairwoman. Thank you for allowing the virtual option, and I really enjoy that. Anyway, for tonight's meeting, I am a big proponent of at least asking for reasonable fees for residents on some of the more I guess, costly to maintain areas such as the boat launch. I also think that we deserve as residents to make sure our non-residents are within the ability of the law to pay for, especially if they're inland, they're landlocked, to enjoy our terrific beaches and boat launch, that they should pay as much as we could have them do. But I do want to say that what I did not see in scrolling by here, and this is an issue that probably maybe tonight you cannot take up, but please consider taking this up, and that is up in Cranberry Park. I know of many citizens from Wilton that come in through the exit driveway. They utilize all of Cranberry Park. They utilize the dog park. There is no mechanism to charge them. And I don't think that is fair to the residents of Norwalk because of how the citizens invest the money either on a state, even when we do get state grants to help us maintain our parks, that's our money as well. So I don't know if that was an oversight, but I don't see anything related to Cranberry Park. I do know that we used to have at the main entrance driveway, there used to be someone there to collect money for people that are from out of town. But I do know for a fact, and I just don't have the capacity to put a camera at the exit, but people are going in the exit a lot, and many of them, especially the dog folks, are from Wilton. Now we have the ability to put forth food scrap, and again, we are paying for it, overpaying, I think, to have it hauled away. But again, I don't think it's fair that people from Wilton could utilize our food scrap area. Not that I think they are, because not many people know about it. But my main concern is the Cranberry Park. What can we do to enforce or at least collect some fee, reasonable, fair fee from out-of-towners that utilize Cranberry Park like we used to? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lorcella. Is there anyone else? I don't.
No, there is not.
And let the record show that Josh Goldstein is here. Okay. If there are no other persons on this Zoom. I guess we, do we wait or we call this public hearing officially closed? We have until 6:30.
Madam Chair, if you'd like to close the public hearing, then you want to have any, discussion amongst yourselves or any questions for us,
Okay.
that's fine.
All right. So I think we'll close the public hearing session of today. And so a question that I do have that I think that I heard Ms. Florilla raise is that instance of this thing that's occurring of folks entering our park through
Sure,
other.
Yep,
mean-
and I can address that. So prior to our new parking system, which we implemented probably 3 years ago now, down at Calf Pasture Beach, Veterans Park, Taylor Farm, and Cranberry Park, we did have a gatehouse at the main entrance staffed by part-time staff who was in charge of collecting the fees to enter the park. At that time, we did have issues with people entering in through the exit. And that was part of the catalyst to have the new parking program up there. So once we implemented the paid parking, we did make the exit an entrance and an exit, because now it didn't matter how the cars came in, because we scanned the plates with the same plate reader that we used on a Calf Pasture Beach. So the fees are addressed on the sheet that was given to you for Cranberry Park. So we do have the daily parking cost is $10, and that's going to $10.50. And then we do also sell a seasonal park pass for non-residents, which is going to be $157.50. So if a non-resident decides to park at Cranberry and not pay through the app, then they are ticketed. So we do have pretty tight control on non-resident parking up at Cranberry Park.
That's not true.
Okay. Mr. Goldstein, did you have a question?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, I heard that. Okay. So is that, I thought I heard Ms. Lars tell us say also that people are going through a gate or a fence, or they actually walk, is there ability to walk onto the property without a car or like?
Yeah, so you can, so Grumman Avenue is a pretty tough road to
Mhm.
park on, so the cops patrol that for no parking. Residents can walk across the street and get into the park. But we do have the main entrance which is drivable. And then we do have the exit, which was turned into an exit/entrance. So there are two ways to get into the park, but the entire lot is patrolled by LAS. So, and I can pull, I don't have them on me now, but I could pull the data in terms of how many tickets were issued versus revenue, how many, passes we've sold. So I just don't have that on me right now.
That's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think also in maybe Ms. Laura Cella's concern, we are right now, we're involved in a fees and charges study. And I recommend that also along with that study, which would be a market demand study, elasticity study, comparative study, and financial cost to revenue study. But also will be responsible for recommending a new fee structure in a way of developing fees for residents and non-residents. So we're awaiting that study in order to really get a really sound foundation on our fees and how we set our fees, and have a more scientific way of setting our fees. This fee increase, these fees for 24, was just try to bump them up to try and keep up a little bit with our cost. But there will be, we will be looking at how to address some of the deficiencies in the way we collect our fees.
All right. So if we don't have any more questions, we can now close the public hearing session. And we got 20 minutes to move on to the next thing. Josh, is there anything you want to share or talk about, or any questions you had?
The only thing I was curious about, and I forgot to ask this before, was and I can't remember if you mentioned it before because I came a little late, but why the parking fines stayed static?
The fines are really, even though we have them in our, our fee, because it's just easier for us to do that. I did confer with the TMZ director. He didn't want to raise the fines, so not this time. We are going to be extending our parking with LAS, and it's going to be, I think, on the agenda. And so at that time, we're going to be doing some changes in the structure, but this time he didn't want to increase those.
Okay.
And I think it's worth saying, or just asking the question and just saying, how are we stacking up with our surrounding towns as far as fees are concerned? Because I know for a while we had not raised fees.
Yeah,
So if you could just give a little highlight.
We've done a little bit of comparative analysis, and it's kind of all over the board. Westport there are cities like Westport that seem to charge some things a lot more than we do, and then some things they don't charge for at all. It's kind of all over the board. That's why in this fee study, we're more doing a market demand and comparing our city with other cities that have cost of living, like the demographics. So our city may compare with another city that's really not in the Northeast. So we're looking at the market, and so we're going to do some scientific way we charge, because it's all over the board. We did a comparative study, and there was really it really does not compare. They're all different.
They're also different communities.
Yeah.
Comparing us to Westport is probably not a great comparison. I'd be curious, to Darlene's question, how we stack up compared to other bigger beach communities, and the ones that come to mind for me, Stamford somewhat, but honestly, I think about like Milford.
Yeah, like I said, they were all over the board, but
Yeah.
in this study, we will be studying the characteristics that you just called out on. Those we will be cities that are more comparative characteristically, and from a cost standpoint as well, from a market standpoint. So it may be Milford, it may be Stamford, so. But at this time, when we did our comparative study, we really, in facility rentals, for instance, Westport was way higher than us. But then other things, they're way lower than us. Yeah, but there was no rhyme or reason. Yeah.
It will also be interesting to see how many beach communities charge residents for beach access.
Yeah.
Because I know that's a big sticking point in terms of what we're allowed to charge non-residents.
Yep.
Right. Okay. All right.
So see you back at
All right.
7.
Yeah.
But hopefully, Josh, will have those really good answers for you guys in a few
Right.
months. In a
Right.
few
Good.
months, we'll
Well,
have
we're
that.
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We'll bring it to the committee, and we'll probably even have a presentation before we bring it to the committee. Because what I like to do with those studies, I like them to come out in person and really describe their methodology and the data and how they came up with everything, even before we get to the point where there's a final study.
Right. All right. See you in a bit.
Okay.
See you in a
thank you.
bit.
Bye.
Bye.